Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Winton Churchill with the Barefoot Consultants. And today we're going to talk about some of the strategies you can use as a freelancer for the new AI. These are particularly well tuned for the 50 plus and baby boomer generations because the new AI tools give you a lot of flexibility that you wouldn't otherwise have. I mean, some of this stuff is miraculous. I've been playing around with it for, I want to say, about 3 months now, and it's quite interesting to take a look at. And so there are 5 areas that I've identified for purposes of this call that you can grow your business. And the first one I want to bring to the fore is the ability to research things. You know, we have a lot of uncertainty today on the planet in terms of, is a news story true or false? Is the research around a topic true and false? How do you begin to sift out that information? And I have a long held belief, you know, coming from companies that worked in this area, that the way that this would ultimately be solved is through the use of artificial intelligence, because once it's tuned up, artificial intelligence can see, and I say see metaphorically, a lot more clearly whether an article has been sort of constructed based on fake information or that it's true. And so there's a lot of research and that kind of thing to talk about. So let me go down here and I'm going to share the screen. 1 second here. It says screen sharing. Here we go. And I want to share the new GPT chat. Now, there's a free version, and you can get this at chat or at openai.com, and you can basically set up an account for free, and you can use this for free. If you pay an extra $20 a month, you'll be able to have priority access to some of the resources. It means that it might be faster for you than it is for somebody who's free. You might have the ability, it's, for example, down here, you say, this currently has a cap of 25 messages every 3 hours. So, you know, you're able to throw that in there and do things, but it might be a little bit longer on the free version. I used the free version at first, and it was almost indistinguishable for my purposes as to what this would be, but I want to go in here and show you how it works. So in the world of fact checking, you can come in here and say something like, what are 10 facts every person should know before they purchase a motorcycle? Okay, so this is the kind of stuff you just pop in there. And the one thing I want you to notice, I wind up demonstrating this a lot to our members and our private clients based on their specific situations. But when you make a general inquiry, it goes very fast. So here we go. It's thinking, and then it starts to talk about the 10 most important things to know. And so it, in essence, writes these out. And as a writer and somebody that does a lot of research before I write articles, this is incredibly helpful because it would help run down all the things that I need to cover in the article. Now, one of the things to know is that it has limitations. For example, this the database this is drawing from, if you will, the information it's drawing from is over a year old. So if you wanted to look up something about a current news story, You're not going to find that in here. The thought is, the smart money has their money on the fact that that will be improved in the capability of these systems uh, very soon. But the other thing to know is that you can get so much good information out of the systems as they exist today. So we have this basically motorcycling one-on-one, cost of ownership, motorcycle type, and then you can uh, come in here and you can say, write uh, a 300-word article just for time on items 2, 4, and 7. And so we do this, and it starts writing the article right away. It picks out those particular topics that I selected because in my mind, those were most important to me, although I just picked them in random. So I'm not, they may not be the most important ones. But the idea is, I mean, this thing is just blazing through this. None of this was set up in advance. None of this is just the actual speed that it works at. Now, the one thing that I've noticed on the writing of articles, which is what we're looking at here, is that the articles have a blandness to them that is a little hard to quantify. And this is the reason that many people are predicting the end of freelancing because there won't be any more articles to write. This will write them all. And I have lived through working for technology companies, every advance that has come along in the field of technology. And as I have done that, I have seen some major trends that rolled out. I was working at Apple. I went there when the Apple II was the only product they had, and then came the Lisa, and then came the Macintosh. And so I had the experience of being on the front end of the personal computer. That certainly was a lot. And then after the personal computer came along, also came along the internet. And the chat GPT and the AI capability is just as in its infancy. We'll be unpacking this for the next decade. And people are saying, "Oh, nobody's ever going to write an article again. They'll all be written here." They might be researched here. An initial rough draft might be put in here. But the thing that Chat GPT can't do well is it can't take your specific skill set or stories that you have about your life in business or in life, whatever it might be. And those are the things that make reading so much more enjoyable and make this sort of pale in comparison. But somebody could take something like this article and they could interview your client and they could add that spice in here that would make this much more interesting. The stories, the insights, the metaphors, that kind of thing is really what makes this different. But I want to show you something pretty amazing. You can say, make this funnier. And it will go in and immediately start generating this. And you can see here that the writing style is very different. Choosing your steel stallion, dressing like a knight, buying insurance without busting your wallet. So you're about to buy a motorcycle, but you start channeling your inner evil Knievel and blah, blah, blah. And you can see the type of motorcycle you choose is like choosing your spirit animal. This is very much um, humorous, something that somebody may like, a client may like. And one of the really powerful things about this is that when you're working on an article, for example, for a client, and you may be showing them a first draft or something like that, and they say, can you punch it up? Can you make it put a little bit more enthusiasm into it? And so the way you can do that, I'm going to stop this generating. I'm going to say, uh, put more enthusi- oops, enthusiasm in this. And it remembers what it wrote before, and it'll go in and just know, you don't have to tell it. Um, so here again, it's even more enthusiastic, lots more evocative, what I would call kinesthetic writing. That sort of grabs people's feelings. It has them creating images in their mind, that kind of thing, talking about cool cat rides and mastering the art of nonchalance at red lights, and um the rolling penthouses of motorcycles. So it is funny, and I'm surprised at how funny this stuff is. Lots of interesting stuff. A great way to spice this up. So the second thing I see is this as a tool will really start um, uh, the whole process of shortening writing cycles. And that is a very important aspect of this. Let me shift back over to our. Um, uh, Bob is saying that the free version of GPT 3.5 knows things up to early 2022. And Bob is one of our members. He's extremely well informed in this. In fact, he's going to be on one of our upcoming Tuesday night calls to explain how he uses this in his business. And he's been very successful for a lot of the stuff that he's created. And he's saying here, write a poem. And so let's take that and go ahead and do that in here. We'll pop that up. Let's see. We got a lot going on here today. And we'll come here, and I will do write a poem about a horse in Cordoba, Mexico, in a funny style. Now, I don't know about you, but I had to write a few poems along the way from the English classes. And look at this. It's just, it took me many hours to crank out poems. This is just doing it very quickly. So here it is, just grinding it out. Let's see. Hold on. Let me make sure you're seeing that. 1 second. That may be a technical glitch here. Let me get back here. There we go. Okay. Back to sharing screen. We're back to, here we go. So here's the poem I wrote. My command to it was write a poem about a horse in Cordoba, Mexico, in a funny style. And so this is what it wrote. I mean, it's a funny poem. It's got what, 5 or 6 or 7 verses to it. So it does rhyming. It does all kinds of things. You could come in here and say, do it in iambic pentameter, do it in a serious tone, whatever you might want it to do. So what this is going to do, if rather than the Chicken Littles of the world who say that freelancing is going to disappear, that kind of thing. What's going to happen, in my opinion, having observed many of these from the inside of the technology industries all along, including working at Apple and Sun Microsystems and Oracle and a variety of other technology companies, is that this is going to continue to unfold. And there was an article recently in the New York Times that said, hey, the new AI is not going to take away jobs. It's going to be being creative much easier. There we go. We got to click that off. See if we can get back to our screen here. Yeah, and Bob told me to share the screen. Very good. And so yes, we got that going. So this is a fascinating example of that. And so AI does many different things, and I wanted to show you what it does with photography. And I am going to go here to a site called restore photos. Let me mess around, but I think we're almost back to where we need to be. 1 second. Um, get that, take that off. Oops. And now we're going to go take a look at the this new application. And you can take photos with this that you've taken that are older. And I'm going to do the share screen here. And we're going to go to restore photos, which is a Chrome tab. And we're going to share it. So this is the program here. You come down here to upload an image. And let's see, what's the image I'm going to find? A, a photograph that my father took a number of years ago. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Is this photograph that's coming up now. You can see here that it says you have 5 generations left today. So I'm using the free version. You can put that in there. So what you can see is here is the old photo, and then here is the new photo. And if you'll look here, you'll see that the snake in this picture stands out much more prominently. The face of this guy is Dr. Bill Haas. He's passed away now, but he owned the Miami Serpentarium. This was one of the world's largest centers for research on snakes and snake venoms. And Dade Thornton was also passed. He taught me a lot of what I know about photography in the early days. And so this photograph is very memorable to me, but this version of it doesn't have the detail of it, and this recreates the detail. I mean, just look. I'm going to make it bigger. There's more detail in the face here, the face and the hair, and of course the detail in the shirt, and the more of a 3-dimensional quality to the snake there. So that is how this works. And I have taken many photos from, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and run them through this already, and you will just be amazed at the improvement it makes to those photos. Now, this system actually works best on when you do a photo that's a portrait. Somebody's face is fairly big in the picture, which neither of these faces are big in the picture. You can see most of the picture, 80%, 90% of the picture is all of this other stuff. But look how it cleaned up the faces and gave them more definition and eyebrows and hair and that kind of thing. So it's quite uh, the change uh, versus let's see here than this. So just I'll give you a moment to look at the difference in the face here, a little bit fuzzy. See how it sharpens right up. His shirt's a little bit fuzzy over here. His face and hair a little bit fuzzy over here. You can see how much sharper it is over here. So just a very cool photograph that will let you preserve your memories in ways we never thought possible. So let's get back on to the stop share here. Uh, Okay, sorry for that technical glitch there. But, there are many of you out there who do photography like Bob. Bob's a photography genius. And with tools like this, you have the ability. I mean, I think of all the pictures out there that people have in yellow envelopes tucked away in an attic or garage or something like that that could all disappear due to some kind of problem somewhere along the line and create a situation where you lose all those memories. And I've heard many of those stories from our members, myself included, had a big hunk of uh, family photos and memorabilia that just disappeared. And obviously the memorabilia, if it's something physical, it's a little hard to do something with it, but preserving your photographs is so very important. So from time to time, we do see freelance jobs that are just, let me send you my photographs and you put them into a system. Here you can offer the additional service, which increases the value of those pictures that will allow you to improve on those. Now, some of the other things that happen here is you are able to get what I would call a 360-degree view. That's looking all the way around. And then we talk about the higher elevation view of looking through, the 720-degree view. You look at it from sort of the ground floor, but then you go up some level and you're looking at it from a different level. And this keeps you, if you're writing an article for a client, you're writing something about a topic that you know well, and you can ask the system, what 10 topics should I include? What 10 topics are most important to communicate to this audience about fill in the topic? And it'll give you that list of 10. Now, when I produce that list of 10, and I might see 7 of those things that I feel I want to incorporate into my article. So what I do is I say if I only see 7 and I want the article to include 10, I'll say, give me 5 more. And it knows to give you 5 more topics in addition to the ones it just gave you. So really speeding up that uh, document, time and that sort of thing. Now you can see by using this user interface that many of the things that we do in all of this is pretty simple and straightforward. But there's lots of education on this topic right now, and we are just in our infancy. In fact, there is a movie many years ago called Chariots of Fire. Many people listening to this will remember Chariots of Fire. And it kind of starts with the scene where I don't remember if it was gorillas or chimpanzees are sitting around, and somehow a log or a branch gets set on fire, and then they get some other wood around it. And this is supposed to be an allegory for the creation of fire and when civilization started working with fire. And AI is just that, and a lot of negative predictions, a lot of let's go slow with it, that kind of thing. The kind of stuff we're demonstrating here is not, putting robots walking down your neighborhood patrolling things. That may or may not happen in the relatively near future. My sense is the most dangerous aspects of this kind of thing are far off and dependent upon much more development in this area. But for today, you can certainly see how these sorts of tools will become important to people. And right now, most people, I mean, this is a capability that's, I don't know, not more than really 3 or 4 months old for consumers. There are tools that we've recommended in the past, like Grammarly, that have an element of artificial intelligence to them and have for years. There are some tools that required a lot more inputs to them. You couldn't just ask a casual question, or you couldn't say, write me a 300-word article. And in fact, there were some products over the years that purported to do that, but the articles were so bad that they were unreadable. They would basically have to be rewritten. So teaching people how to use this tool is going to be another very important skill in demand. And going online and getting on a chat window or a system like Zoom or whatever you're using, and showing somebody how to use that system will make them tremendously more powerful with it. And if you're a writer, they will probably want you to take what the client generates through this system or others, and then actually refine that so it more accurately and engagingly represents what your client wants to say. So this is the really important part of this system, is it does a good job. I mean, some articles it gets about 75% there. Some of them it gets a little bit better. But in my experience, all articles that I have seen, in order they tend to lack authenticity. They tend to lack personal experience. And the great thing about people age 50 plus and baby boomers is that they have decades of that experience, that knowledge, that wisdom. And so you bring the specifics to the writing or the use of AI that fills in the gaps that AI leaves until it is much more sophisticated. And as much as this does today, very good, but it will take years for this to fully mature. And I see this being a boon to freelancers, because freelancers are where individuals are going to turn, small businesses are going to turn, and that kind of thing. And it's interesting. Bob just commented, let me see if I can pop this up there, that there are many errors. On one of our training calls for our coaches on Wednesday night, we did, you can say, write a bio for Winston Churchill. And it goes out, the first thing it does is it says, Winston Churchill was the prime minister, because it thinks I made a typo. And so then you have to do a few things to make sure it focuses on my name rather than, Winston, because that's where it naturally goes. And then it spits out what's a pretty good bio. I'd say it's about 70% there, but it has some random information in it. Like, I got an economics degree from Cambridge University. I work for Deloitte, Haskins, Deloitte, whatever they are, the big accounting and consulting firm. And so it's off. And so there will be a huge opportunity in the world of doing researching and verifying facts, because you see how it spits everything out. And the problem is, if it writes my bio and it does it in 10 paragraphs, there may be 8 paragraphs that are completely wrong, or they're completely right, I'm sorry, or 7 or 8, but there's 2 or 3 that are completely wrong, and obviously very embarrassing if you put those out there. Well, that same kind of thing occurs in articles. So reviewing that is a very important thing to be able to do. Yes, and Bob has a humorous point. Unintentional. He had it write his bio, and it said he had passed away. So you want to be careful not to scare yourself with what you're seeing coming across the screen. So that can happen. So that's what I wanted to cover today. We're a little bit longer than we normally are, but this is going to be a big part of any freelancer's life going forward. It behooves you to get on top of this technology. As you can see, it's pretty simple. Once you learn how to use a few of those prompts and understand, just play around with it. And that's what I've recommend some of our clients do, our one-on-one clients, is just play around with it, see what's happening, see how you can trick it, how you can break it. There's lots of fun ways to do that. How you can push the bar. I love to say, write this with more enthusiasm, and then it writes something, and then I say, write it with 100% more enthusiasm, and it gives you some off the wall kind of enthusiastic. You can't hardly sit down when you're reading it. So it's pretty cool. Or make this funnier. And you do that a few times, and it starts out being a little funny, then it starts out being really funny, and then it goes to being not funny at all, because that's where it breaks down. But lots of good things to play with here, and we're actually going to be demonstrating some aspects of this on our Tuesday night call for our members, and we will be talking about this in our freelance Fridays and that kind of thing. So looking forward to seeing any thoughts you might have. If you have any thoughts or questions for our Tuesday night call, just send them to support@barefootconsultants.com, and I'll get those before the call, and we'll answer those on the call. But a real revolution for freelancers, a huge increase in activity in my mind for freelancers, because like any new technology, I mean, we're going to spend the first 3 years like those chimpanzees trying to figure out how to keep the fire going, how to get another one started, how to keep logs on it, all that kind of stuff. So it's at the very beginning. Everybody's at the same starting line right now. There's, other than the people that develop this technology, and they're not going to be writing articles for clients. They're developing technology. You're at the starting line right now. If you plug into this and learn how to use it even just a little bit, 3 months from today, you'll know, 5 times as much as the people just starting. So look forward to having ongoing conversations about this, as well as all other aspects of 50 plus and baby boomer freelancing. And look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.